Thank you. Please down. Secretary Ramon Jimenez is indeed checking EDSA, but it's supposed to be somewhere in the Mega Mall area. And Mr. Eric Waldwerker, Mr. Samuel Po, Mayor Maria Belén Eusebio, Mayor Jed Mabilog, Commissioner Kim Menares, officers and staff of the Marco Polo Hotel, fellow workers of government, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is good to finally make it here today. I understand that due to my schedule, you have pushed this event back a number of times, and I apologize for you having to do that. And thus, I must thank you for your patience and for your insistence on having me here. Of course, I really wanted to be present for this event so I could congratulate your company as well as a Filipino entrepreneur who is truly worthy of our admiration, Mr. Samuel Po. Now, I do not really know you that well, Mr. Po, as you know. In fact, this is probably my first real interaction with you. But I do admire him for the trust he has put in our country and in our people. For those who might not be aware, Mr. Po is the man behind one of the most successful diaper brands in our country. And I'm, on the one hand, apologetic for not being your client. And on the other hand, glad that I'm not your client. Namely, EQ Diapers. And through the years, he has made his fortune not simply through luck, but through foresight. He realized that there was a potentially large market for this product in our country, and that the Philippines would grow fast enough that our people would be able to transition from using non-disposable diapers to disposable ones. In the same token, perhaps it bodes well for us that in Mr. Po's just judgment, there will also be a large enough market for tourists here to justify the amount they have invested in this hotel, which I understand cost 2.37 billion pesos to construct. I certainly have great expectations for Marco Polo Ortigas. I am told that Mr. Po shares my perfectionist leanings and that he spared no expense when it came to this hotel's most minute details, aspiring to put up the best five-star hotel in the country. The recent performance of our tourism industry, however, is showing that this is money well spent, and that perhaps we can chalk another one up for the strategic foresight of Mr. Po. From the time this hotel began construction in October 2010 to its grand inauguration today, the economic landscape of our country has indeed changed dramatically. Even before our administration took office, we had already identified the massive promise of tourism. After all, our country has some of the most breathtaking natural gifts in the world, from the majestic landscape of Batanes up north to the pristine beaches in the Sulu archipelago down south, whose tourism potential we can hopefully harness in the foreseeable future as peace dawns in the region. Our people are renowned for their innate hospitality, and because the jobs that arise from tourism do not require people to have very extensive training or even in certain instances college degrees, all that is needed is a sincere willingness to work, a friendly demeanor, and passion for your country. This is why from the very beginning, we went all out for tourism. Since 2010, it has become far easier for tourists to move in and around the Philippines. We worked overtime to liberalize aviation, which has created a more consumer-friendly market and given tourists a wider menu of flight options when visiting the Philippines. We made sure that the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines kept working with our local airlines to get our country out of the watch lists of the United States and the European Union, which they have succeeded in doing. On top of this, we also launched a highly successful global campaign based on a simple truth about our country, that it is indeed more fun in the Philippines. The results have been clear. Over the past 4 years, the number of tourists, both domestically and internationally, has increased dramatically. For instance, in 2011, we recorded 37.5 million domestic travelers, which surpassed our original target for not 2011, but 2016. Perhaps I can emphasize, we surpassed our original target for 2016 5 years ahead of time. Now we have chosen to aim higher, setting our new 2016 target at 56.1 million domestic travelers. The number of international tourists has steadily increased as well, going from an average of around 3 million a year to 4.68 million last 2013, and we remain committed to pursuing our 2016 goal of 10 million international tourists. Naturally, The progress we have made in tourism, together with our integral reforms in every other sector, has also made a massive impact on our economy. Last year, despite the natural and man-made disasters that struck our nation, we were still one of the fastest-growing economies in Asia, registering, I assume you know, a GDP growth of 7.2%. We have also steadily won the confidence of the international community. Last year, the most renowned credit rating agencies in the world made it unanimous: the Philippines is investment grade. On top of this, in the short span of time we have been in office, the Philippines has erased its reputation as a sick man of Asia and has fostered a new image, being referred to by various publications and organizations as, I quote, Asia's bright spot and Asia's new tiger, close quote. And this hotel only serves as proof positive of the newfound confidence that companies have in our country's prospects. All these developments confirm the accuracy of Mr. Samuel Paul's prediction. The demand for your hotel rooms will maintain an upward trajectory in the coming years, sustained by tourists who are looking to discover our country or business people who are looking at the Philippines as a potential investment destination, or even perhaps by an ever-expanding middle class who are gaining the wherewithal to enjoy the fruits of their hard work. Indeed, perhaps sooner rather than later, I will be receiving an invite to yet another Marco Polo Grand Launch Affair. The increasingly bright prospects that this hotel represents reminds me of a truism, that it takes courage to bet on an emerging market like the Philippines. But if we continue on the path to progress that we have been treading these past 4 years, I am very confident that even more investors will change their mind about our country. More and more people will be envious of Mr. Po because he is an earnest believer in the potential of the Filipino people. Indeed, Mr. Po, along with all of those who have reaped the benefits of investing in our people, they are all proving to the world it is always a sure thing to bet on the Filipino. For your continued faith, I truly am grateful. Just as Marco Polo, the traveler from whom you derived your name, became renowned for his account of his journey to the East, I'm hopeful that this Marco Polo Hotel truly becomes another gateway for tourists to discover our country, so that they may tell their friends, their family, and their colleagues back home just how fun it is here in the Philippines. Indeed, I extend my utmost gratitude to all of you for your continued belief in the dynamism of our country and in the kindness, the loyalty, and the skill of the Filipino worker. Truly, with the confidence of partners such as you and with the continued cooperation and support of the Filipino people, we can give rise to a Philippines that is better, more inclusive, and without doubt, even more fun. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you, President Benigno S. Aquino III.